Corbin, I was going to through too. I did too, but we're not. Okay, but I think they're going to have that camera on you, so you got to be nice and loud.
Okay. No.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm supposed to start when everybody sits. You're seated.
Yeah, they'll sit when they start. You won't. Karma Cook. What's your last name? Falling. What's Keziah's last name? What's your last name? Wilkins, Lanaya Kemper, Karma Fallings. Yeah.
Please start to join us with the pledge. Please start to join us with the pledge of allegiance. Please stop to join us with the pledge.
I got her. It might skip the cream. Okay. So you're going to stay here or are you going to? No, you can. Okay, I got you.
Fifth. I'm the oldest.
That's right. So you guys know after she finished and they sit down and then we'll.
What song are they talking about?
I will lose the choir.
Oh.
Okay. Yes. And I want you to say your name and your Rondell Academy.
And then do the pledge.
No. Then at some point you'll do the preach. When I say do the preach.
Will you please?
I call to order the February 22nd, 2016 regular meeting of Cincinnati Board of Education. Like, where are we? Who are we? We welcome everyone and request that everyone in the audience please silence your electronic devices. And tonight we are going to have our students help us say our pledge. So please rise for the pledge.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. And so we're joined by students from Rockdale Academy tonight, and our principal, Belinda Tubbs Wallace, is going to do an introduction of our students.
Yes, yes. You just take a little mic. You want to tell me your name?
My name is Lanaya Kemper, and I'm a student at Rockdale.
Yes. And to my left here is Corma Fallings, Keziah Wilkins, and we have here Brianna Riston, Leela Cook, and Anaya Baker. They are all members of our gymnastics team.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Anaya's just going to share our creed along with the girls. Let's do it real quick, ladies. Go.
I am respectful. I am responsible. I am safe. I am a problem solver. We are here to learn. Therefore, I will do nothing to keep my teachers from teaching and anyone, myself included, from learning. I will cooperate with all school people. I will respect others, the environment, and myself. By doing these things, I will have a successful school day.
Awesome.
Rock pride. Inside. Rock pride. Inside. Rock pride. Inside.
Okay, you're supposed to say, rock pride.
Inside.
All right.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you all and to have you. And so in order for us to begin our business meeting, I'm going to ask Mrs. Wagner to please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates.
Present.
Ms. Bolton. Present. Mrs. Hoffman. Here. Ms. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Manera. Here. Mr. Nelms. Here. President Copeland Dansby.
Present. I need a motion to approve the following minutes. Our special public meeting February the 8th, 2016, and a regular board meeting February 8th, 2016. Who? Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved as presented. Mrs. Hoffman, as chair of the policy committee, please present the February 8th, 2016 policy committee meeting report.
Sure. As usual, we had a busy meeting. One of the things we talked about was reviewing the policy committee bylaws. We know the other committees are doing that as well. So we are asking that when all of the committees are done, that we, instead of approving these piecemeal, we wait till all the committees are done, get them all into policy 0155, our committee our committee bylaws, and approve it all at once. So we're asking our board administration to help with that. We talked about recess before lunch as a follow-up from last spring, where we decided we didn't need a new policy, but had just asked for an update from Ms. Shelley on if any additional schools had adopted recess before lunch, and she reported that 6 more schools have adopted that best practice. And then also, as you remember, we did a lot of work last year on our facilities policy, and so we asked that team to come give us an update on compliance with our new policy, as well as one concern that the board had about the cost of a building engineer holding some community groups back from using our facilities. And Mrs. Brandon said they are trying to communicate via the resource coordinators about how community groups can use our space at a time when the building's already open and you don't have to pay for those services. We also continued our work on our equity policy. And so I submit these minutes as written.
Thank you. Ms. Bolton, as chair of the Finance Committee, please present the February 16th, 2016 Policy Committee report.
Thank you very much.
Finance Committee report. Sorry.
Okay. Long minutes and a lot of specificity in it. I will note a couple of new things and different things in that with the insurance policies, we have agreed to include additional This is a sign of the time, include in additional terrorism coverage within the policy, particularly not only for international travel, but also unfortunately here at home. Another departure from past experience is that we did ask as a committee that the district athletic accident coverage policy also come before finance, like the rest of the insurance policies do, before it comes to the board. Then we know we're taking action on the assistant treasurer search, I believe, this evening. So that's a follow-up to that, and congratulate beforehand that's a job well done, getting somebody signed up to come here and help us out. That's great, if somebody is experienced. And then also some discussion about how long it will take for the Parthenon report to be done, and also the performance audit to be done, and hopefully great expectation that we can get some of the things we need to know from those reports early enough to inform our levy decision, both the amount and also recommendations regarding how we run our finances. And then also from our effort, as Chairman Hoffman mentioned, in our efforts to build a work plan in finance, that was suggested that as we look at the responsibilities of finance, we add, and hope that all committees will do this, one part to that, which is develop an annual work plan to include the specific responsibilities as stated above to be submitted to the board for approval, meaning the work plan needs to be addressed as it is planned out, needs to address the issues that are part of the protocol and bylaws within board policy. And then the most significant thing as we face this week and in the near future and distant future, we had a final kind of report as to how much it will cost regarding adding 16 preschool classrooms, and that is noted, if you will, on page 4, the $3,437,500, and that is in relationship to the additional numbers requesting preschool in the lottery, and that would then leave somewhere between 500 and 700 students annually, at least on a historical basis, that we would begin to think about needing to serve, because on an annual basis about 1,000 of the people that request our services are not able to be served directly by us. So that again could inform some levy requests as well, and also gives us some strong numbers regarding those preschool numbers that we hear circulating. And then the treasurer also brought us up to date on the issue of centrally managed budgets, and trying to find ways not only to start with zero-based budgeting for those, but also making sure that it's transparent even in how we code them and mark them and title them, so that anybody reading our budgets would actually know what the money's being spent for. So we appreciate her leadership and the superintendent's leadership on that. I submit as written.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. I will give an update related to our report of the Committee of the Whole that took place on February 17th, 2016. We discussed magnet enrollment update. In the minutes, you'll note that the second round ran from January 11, 2016 to January 29th. There were 365 applications that were received. 193 applications were for preschool and kindergarten. Round 2 magnet lottery application, first choice applications. It says the following schools were the top choices, and 105 applications for preschool were received, and 88 applications were received for kindergarten: Dater Montessori, Fairview, North Avondale Montessori, and Sands Montessori. So I encourage everyone to please read the minutes here related to the magnet enrollment update. And finally, I think it's worth noting that our FACE team will be holding 2 upcoming town hall meetings. The first will be held tomorrow at the Community Action Agency from 6 until 7:30 p.m. And then the other will be held on this coming Thursday, February 25th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Price Hill Recreation Center. And these town hall meetings are intended to discuss the magnet enrollment practices. And so I submit this, the minutes as written. Okay. do we have a voice vote to accept the minutes? I forget that every week, and it still is not written in my script. We can have a voice vote to accept the minutes of these particular meetings.
So moved.
Someone? I don't need a second. Voice vote. Yes? Okay, great. Thank you. And so we do have a presentation tonight, and that presentation will be...
I'm sorry.
But it's not by roll call.
We have to say aye.
All in favor, say aye. Okay.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for screwing that up every week. Thank you.
It's okay.
So now we will move on to the presentation, which is WKRC TV video highlighting Rockdale Academy. It's entitled, Can One CPS Principal Change the Face of a School and a Community? And we have our principal of Rockdale back with us, Ms. Belinda Tubbs-Wallace.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you, board. Thank you, community, for allowing us to present tonight. How the video came about, I'm not sure if it was a parent or who, but I was approached by Deborah Dixon through a phone call and asked if she could come over and speak with me. Having no knowledge about a full understanding of the child poverty, what's going on in Cincinnati, of course, but had no idea that it was related to that at all. She called me on the phone, asked if she could come over and speak with me, and she came over and she said, I understand that you have a great relationship with your students, and we are impressed with the way you engage your staff and your students. And she said that they saw a jump rope video that went a little viral when we participated in a jump rope. Actually, a company came to the city and had their whole jump rope event out at Mason, and they came and gave our students a presentation, and all our teachers got involved as well. So jump rope, and it started from there, and it's something that we do during lunchtime period. So she came over, and I thought she was coming for a minute because it was principal's meeting day, and I planned only be like 15 minutes late, and she stayed the whole day and asked me if I would just walk around and can she stay with me for the day? So, of course, I couldn't prep the staff, and I was, whoo! But she stayed, and it worked out. So here's the presentation.
Some girls have just been called to the principal's office here at Rockdale Academy. It's not what you think. Visiting Principal Belinda Tubbs-Wallace is a reward, like the leadership trips, showing them a world beyond Avondale.
Do you remember some things we did in Chicago?
Oh, we slept in the hotel and we also went to the museums.
Mm-hmm. I did what?
You did.
I gotta keep up with you guys.
Here, students are taught dreams can come true. It can happen with something called growth mindset and grit goals.
Sometimes if you get it wrong, your brain is getting smarter and bigger, and that you.
What's the word for that?
Growth mindset.
A growth mindset and grit. And what is grit?
Grit is when you don't give up.
Pull out your 6 counters. Let's divide those 6 counters into groups of 2.
Growth mindset and grit goals follow these children into every classroom.
Can somebody tell me what their growth mindset mantra is? What you say to yourself when things get really tough and you want to persevere and keep going. So raise your hand, and we'll start with Nadia. What do you say?
Try again.
Students are taught to see beyond adversity, such as economic hardships. This lesson is called My Tomorrow and includes a process.
Go to school, go to college. They say buy a house, get married, and then have children. I said that's the process. There's no cut in between. And we show them how the GPA is determined, how much college costs, but you can do it because college is, you prepare for college like you prepare for your credit. If you have good grades, that's good credit. Then the college take a chance on you.
One person at a time, a person like Miss Wallace, Miss Tubbs-Wallace, she's showing us how to dig ourselves out of poverty together. Not the crybaby stuff, I don't have a daddy, I'm poor, my mom's on cracks. All those things happen. They happen to all of us, and we still have to rise above it. And when Miss Wallace says to these kids, you can,
Ozzie Davis is with Avondale's Comprehensive Development Corporation. He went to Rockdale Academy and says what's happening there is spilling into the community.
The kids can change the whole situation. They can change the house. They can set the expectation at home. No, mommy, we can't be late. Because we're on excellence. And they may not be on excellence at the house. But the schoolhouse, that's what the schoolhouse was all about.
When it's not excellent at home, there is the groom room, where children can brush their teeth, get clean clothes, including underwear. There are fitting rooms for boys and girls. Once a month, a neighborhood barber cuts hair.
What we do to build them up, build their self-esteem up so they can feel great about who they are and who they're going to become.
It's really a nice, safe environment for our kids, and that's what we want. So when they come here, they feel loved. They're ready to learn. They're ready to pass and share what they've learned.
Share what they learn about healthy eating, for example. No sugary drinks or sweets in this lunchroom. Courtney Pittman says she's eating healthy foods now because that's what her 2 children pick out at the grocery store.
No sugary drinks, no junk food. I've adopted it. So when I go shopping, I don't buy none of that junk food. I take my kids, and they don't even want it no more.
No sugary drinks and exercise. Tubbs Wallace isn't just jumping rope, she's teaching it. Many of these children don't know how because it's not safe to do it on their streets. One more lesson about presence, grace, poise, posture. The girls in gowns, the boys in sports coats, ballroom dancing is part of the Academy's first big production. When we talk about what's happening in Rockdale, spilling out into the community, that happened last night for the first concert. Instead of 50 parents showing up, which is what usually happens, there were 500 here.
Once you dress up and put a suit on and a dress, your posture's changed, you feel good, you feel pretty, you want to do your best, you want to be excellence, and that's what I wanted to give them.
That word excellence again, it's the standard here, where children are taught to lift themselves out of childhood adversity.
You can do it if you think that you can.
Yeah. We learn in life is hard, but you should never give up on your dream.
Deborah Dixon, Local 12 News.
Ms. Tubbs Wallace says she considers her work at the school her ministry, which often continues through the weekends. There are sometimes sleepovers at the school. Students are invited to go grocery shopping with her or to just simply hang out sometimes in her office while she works.
Great story.
Ms. Wallace, can you come back to the podium, please? That was such an awesome video. I wanted to give board members to respond or have any questions or give you any feedback.
Yes.
Anyone?
I do.
Mr. Nelms.
Hey, Belinda.
Hey.
First of all, just need you to know I'm proud of you. I've been knowing you for some time now, and I'm not surprised of the work that you do. I like the fact that as a principal, you've decided to be the thermostat to set the tone, not only in your building, but in the school. I like the social emotional learning piece that you've incorporated. I think too many times with our children, it becomes a matter of perspective. We constantly talk about at risk, but we need to really start focusing and managing the at promise perspective for our kids, because a lot of our kids, once they're exposed, and they look to our adults, especially the building leader, to give them that hope, to give them that model. And you do that. I'm not surprised also with you being a sister of a former heavyweight champion of the world, that you have those attributes to keep fighting. One thing I do see that you teach to the cultural competency, and I'm gonna let that resonate, because I think when you are aware of the culture and you can teach the competency that means that as a leader, as an administrator, you can relate. That's something that can't be taught in school. It has to become innate. I want to ask you the question, what school did you graduate from? Because being a product of this system helps with that, and the fact that you get it. Can you kind of expound on the growth mindset? I get it, but can you expound on it? And they've alluded to it on numerous occasions, but in a short kind of contemporary way. Can you talk about what growth mindset really, really, really is?
Well, I'm so proud that the district introduced growth mindset to us, because not only is it real, and that's one of the great things, just not being a part of CPS, but it's real. So it's something we can take home, the students take home, we relate it to our life, so it's so easy for kids to relate to because it's real. So it's not just grit in school, it's grit at home. For a great example, my niece goes to Cincinnati Public School, and I talked to her about grit. And she said, well, my teacher hasn't talked about grit yet. And so she was real excited about telling me a few weeks ago, Auntie, I had an opportunity to tell people about grit. I said, where? She said, at church. Like, my school may not be talking about it, but I told my Sunday school teacher that you got to have grit. That meant so much to me, because grit, it's real. Mindset is real. It's not just an academic thing. It's a life. It's social, emotional, and it's how we grow. Going through those tough times and knowing that you just can't give up and you can do it.
Thank you.
So just fighting through. But Aiken High School graduate, but you know it's at Central State University where I was made.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wright State and University of Cincinnati as well, but yes, undergraduate, Central State University.
Awesome, awesome. Ms. Bates.
Yes, and I had the privilege of going to Rockdale for the walk-in day.
Yes.
And Miss Wallace wouldn't let me leave, so I got the tour, and it is such a great school. The kids were like totally on task every classroom I went to, and we went to the demonstration classroom, and this was really cool. The teacher there, Mrs. Miller, was teaching advanced math to fifth graders, and she was one of the longtime teachers at Fairview and wanted to prove to herself that other children who went to schools other than the magnet schools can learn at that same level. And she's doing it at Rockdale, and not only that, but she's coaching, based on her experience at Rockdale, other teachers in the district and teaching them how to teach other children in similar circumstances. So our teachers at Rockdale are also demonstrating that they can teach all children with their highly qualified skills. It was just such a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Bolton.
Yes, congratulations on the story, and of course I was a big fan of yours when you were at Woodward and also Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
And I know those schools miss you, but we're thrilled that you're at Rockdale. I'm also very pleased that you do demonstrate that indeed the leadership at our schools means a great deal. As a person that spent my professional career in the suburbs, the reality is, a good principal is icing on the cake in the suburbs, but in our urban settings, it's absolutely essential, and you really provide that. I also want to do a kudo out to the district leadership for introducing grit and mindset and My Tomorrow and this pursuit of excellence. I just came from a meeting in Columbus today, and again, among urban districts, small and large, CPS is really the talk of the town, and it's with leaders like you that's making that happen, and we appreciate it. And swoop, foul.
That's right, swoop.
Thank you. Ms. Hoffman.
Yes, so thank you, first of all, for dedicating your passions to our kids. I mean, we're so grateful. And I also had a chance, like Board Member Bates said, to spend some time over at Rockdale. And if you haven't had a chance to go over there, go. I mean, it's hard to describe the feeling, but you walk in and you just know, it's calm, but it's lively, it's comfortable. It's just such a great learning environment. And when you talk about the growth mindset, of course, we're seeing that in the children, but I think what was also impressive is just you and your staff have a growth mindset. And so you're not just talking to the kids about it, but you're demonstrating it. And I think one of the things that stood out, we spent a lot of time together, probably more than you had anticipated. And I kept asking a million questions because there was so much good stuff happening. But one of the things that stood out on the tour was we stopped in one classroom. It was a first grade classroom. The teacher was doing a read aloud. It looked like a great lesson, right? All the kids were on the carpet. They were all engaged. Everyone's raising their hand to answer the questions. And we walked out, and Ms. Tubb-Wallace said to me, the teacher, she should have chunked that. And I said, what? She said, the read aloud, it was really long. Had she stopped and chunked it and asked questions along the way, they might have gotten her lesson a little better. She said, I'm going to write that down. Just give me a sec so I can circle back with that teacher later. It was like there was no opportunity missed to provide feedback to teachers who clearly were used to getting that feedback. And again, that's the growth mindset, right? That at any moment, this is a good lesson, but it can get better. And it's all in the pursuit of excellence for our kids. It was all about this teacher can improve her craft and make the learning environment even better for our kids. So that was fantastic. We also talked a lot about issues of mobility and how that affects our kids. So we are talking about that in student achievement now, and that came from our conversations. And my question is just what we can or should be doing to help you all increase and accelerate the great work that's happening at Rockdale. And
I think exactly what you are doing. I think the video has not only brought our community closer, but they are saying, what can we do? So with that, with the suicide prevention, we had like 40 people there in the community, the churches. So the community has got involved. So it takes a little off your shoulders, because if we all get involved and help a little bit, it's not as difficult. Okay. It's not as difficult. The board truly supports me, the district, the community. So now the community support the kids. I can't wait to see where we're going to go with all this support.
Well, we can't wait either. Thank you.
Awesome. Ms. Jones.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wallace. And it is a pleasure to meet. I just met you recently, and we've had a chance to talk on a couple occasions. But I always want to go back to the presentation just for a minute, because I just get a lot out of watching these young people come forward and stand before a crowd of adults as poised and as excited as they are. And I think that you exude that, and so they're modeling that from you. So I appreciate and thank you for helping to develop them as strong leaders and the people who will be sitting in our seats. And the young people may want to know, not that they really care, but a homework assignment is, I went to Rockdale when it was first built. Not this building, but the building before that. So if anybody cares, they might want to look it up, see when the building was built, and then they might be able to calculate my age. So thank you.
I do have one small thing. Mr. Manera?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Did you have a comment?
He was going to, okay,
I'm calling for a comment, but go ahead if you were going to say
no,
something.
No, please. I guess I'm director now. I got my nerve. I'm sorry, Eric.
That's that. She saw a hand and she was like, Mr. Manera.
Yeah, I tried to do them in order, so Mr. Manera was next.
Now, what stands out, and I am looking forward to going to Rockdale and spend some time, but Mr. Nelms always calls out servant leadership, and so it's very plain to see that that's what you're modeling, just a servant leadership. So my question to you is, so who were these influences in your life? I hate to put you on the spot, but it's just...
You know, actually, a few CPS leaders. I would say Miss Ely. I mean, I grew up on the street in College Hill. I had Miss Ely. She was a teacher. Miss Cooper. There was so many teachers on the street. So I decided, man, I want to drive a car. I see them with two parents. I had two parents, too. They had children. Just saw the house, saw my brother bought us a house, but saw that they worked. They had professional jobs, and it was like, wow, I want that. And then they were women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So it's something that I actually strive for in high school, just seeing the walk around me. And when I came to CPS, to see some of those teachers still teaching, it was like, wow, I too can have. So I talk to my kids, and we talk about having a house, having a car, having a tight situation. We have real talk. So what do you want your situation to look like? We have aunts and uncles and cousins that are in tight situations. So how are we going to work that out? What are we going to use? And they'll tell you, we have these conversations. You know, we're going to use grit, you know, so what you going to do? You're going to work hard because education is the key. So we really do have talks about what's a tight situation. They'll tell you, when I have to share a room with my brother, I won't have to catch the bus. So how are we going to make sure that don't happen? So I give them what we call real talk. We have real talk about how your situation is not going to be tight, you know, when you get to the next level. Mm-hmm.
Well, I really appreciate your presence here and the young ladies that are here. I had one question that said, where are the young men tonight?
You know, let me tell you what happened with the young men. Actually, like you said, the choir was going to do a presentation, and then there was some conversation. I wasn't actually exactly sure, so we told them it was canceled. So it's a lot of guys in our choir too. Okay. And it was going to be part of the program. So they didn't show, but these women are part of the gymnastics team as well. Okay. So they had practice as well. So it was like, I could hold on to this crew, and they're also part of our leadership team. So it just worked out perfect. And board, if I just have 5 more seconds, ladies, I want you to help me out. I want to let the community know how we fight for fitness at Rockdale. Okay? What we sing in gym. Come on, you got to go real quick. Stand up. Come on, hit it. 5, let's do it. 1, 2, ready, go. Fruits and vegetables every day. Sing it. Every day. Do dance. Every day. 2 hours of screen time. Every day. Every day. 1 hour of physical activity. Every day. Every day. And 0 sugary drinks. Sugary drinks. Sugary drinks. So they know I fight for fitness, believe it or not.
I have one thing for you.
We truly fight for fitness. If the kids see it flaming hot, you might as well saw a gun. Because we fight for fitness at Rockdale Academy.
That sounds good.
And they know it.
I have one thing for you. So I love the comments that my colleagues have given you. I've known you for a very long time, not even in a professional sense, but in more personal. And so I have to tout my visit to Rockdale. I want to say it was Valentine's weekend or party going on, and I see Miss Audrey in the audience nodding, your resource coordinator, and just a phenomenal atmosphere. But it may come from some of your training, but this is who you are.
Thank you.
I just appreciate you bringing who you are and translating it into a really tough to serve part of our community. And I know our kids come to school with all kinds of challenges and things that happen at home, and hopefully, and I know it to be true, when they come into that building, they know they're loved, they feel safe, and they're ready to learn. When I was there, I witnessed a parent in the mental health center having some counseling for herself, and it was prescription eyeglass delivery day, and the kids were so excited to come down and and then there was like a Valentine's party, you know, so it was all inclusive of all. So thank you for the work that you do, and we'll have to have you come back with the choir, with the young men. We'll have to have you have you come back before the end of the school year.
Thank you. And we also say it, just like I tell them, Walmart, they pay those greeters. So teachers, they have to know they're loved. We are nice. We are kind. We are safe, right? And we say that every morning. We are nice, we are kind, and we are safe, and we are clean at Rockdale Academy. Yes. So they say that in the morning to remind themselves that, oh yes, we're going to be taken care of, and you're going to take care of others.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Okay, does anyone have any kudos? Yes, Ms. Bolton.
Kudos to Student Services Director Susan Bunty. Ms. Bunty is the recipient of the James N. Jacobs Outstanding Administrator Award. This award memorializes the outstanding lifetime and contributions of James N. Jacobs, Superintendent of Cincinnati Public Schools from 1976 to 1985, by recognizing an outstanding administrative employee of the Cincinnati Public School System. This award grants $500 stipend to the winner, plus a $500 stipend to the honoree's school. Congratulations, well deserved.
Very nice. Are there any other kudos? Okay, Mrs. Bates, please present the retirements.
Yes. From our certificated personnel, M. Ellie Guywer and Elise G. Wexler. From our civil service personnel, those that are retiring are Patricia Patton, Timothy Thomas, Susan Tomlin, and Pamela White. We congratulate them on their long careers with us and wish them well in their retirement.
Thank you so much. We are now at the item on our agenda for hearing for the public. Each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, and Mrs. Wagner at the end of this table, who's our treasurer, will be the timekeeper. When the buzzer goes off, your 3 minutes are up. Please refrain from discussing any personnel items. When your name is called, please come to the podium to speak. And our first speaker is Ms. Marissa Rowe, followed by Andy Anderson.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Rowe, and I'm a parent of 2 young children at Hyde Park School, and now I can proudly say that I am CPS. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the administration, particularly Mrs. Ronan and Mr. Miles, who's not here, for implementing a short-term plan to address our space issues next year by adding classroom space in a local bank across the street from our school. I'm hoping by continuing to work together and leveraging our community support, we can maintain a current level of excellence at Hyde Park School. In addition to having classrooms housed in a local bank, next year we will also be losing our library and our computer lab and turning administrative offices into classrooms. Our current and potential new families are getting very nervous about the future of Hyde Park School, given the enormity of our future space issues. And frankly, we do not have answers for them. Instability is difficult for a school to manage, and consequently, we need a longer-term plan to address our space constraints. The only way to address our constraints is to expand the school. There are no more offices across the street to allow for another short-term solution. We desperately need a long-term solution such that we can provide our current and future families with answers to their very good questions about the space challenges at Hyde Park School. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rowe. Our next speaker is Mr. Andy Anderson, who will be followed by Mr. Kenneth Gibson.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
President Copeland Dansby, Vice President Bates, Superintendent Ronan, Mr. Nelms, Ms. Hoffman, Mr. Manera, Mr. Bolton, excuse me, Ms. Bolton, and Mr. Wagner, Ms. Wagner. My name is Andy Anderson, and I'm a parent of 2 students at the Hyde Park School, a kindergartner and a 2nd grader. Tonight, I'd like to continue to express my gratitude to the members of the board for creating the Hyde Park School. On Friday, I was fortunate enough to be able to pick my children up from school. My children always request extra playground time, so I spent the warm afternoon watching a slew of children play in the background of the Hyde Park School. We've been playing on that playground for 8 years, ever since my wife and I moved back to the city to be closer to our families in 2008. We weren't in the city when the board closed the Hyde Park School in the spring of 2005 and removed the facilities master plan in 2006. As we've seen, lots of things can change in 10 years. In continuing my pitch for the board's help in expanding the physical structure of the Hyde Park School, I'd like to talk about one of the strategic goals of the Cincinnati Public Schools, great learning environments. It reads, support the creation of highly engaging learning environments in which every child, every day, engages in the ideal balance between rigorous learning opportunities, relevant to our dynamic world, and at the same time enjoys the focused concern of caring adults. The phrase that resonates with me is ideal balance. Cincinnati Public Schools naturally applied it between rigorous academics and compassionate individuals, but the board understands it's so much more. It is the ideal balance that's the key to a great learning environment. It's why there are student-to-teacher ratios, arts and sciences, athletics with academics. It's how you educate the wide variety of students that live in the district. Certainly every parent that comes before the board wants a great learning environment for their children. And I am also certain the Hyde Park School has created it. And now it's threatened by overcrowding. Now, I'm not an educator, but I believe that in creating great learning environments, finding that ideal balance is a difficult thing that requires lots of hard work, great people, to create that culture of success. It seems to me that expanding the existing great learning environment is an ideal way for the Hyde Park School to continue to offer its excellence to the increasing student populations of Oakley, Hyde Park, and Evanston. Please continue to grow the great learning environment of the Hyde Park School. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. Our next speaker is Mr. Kenneth Gibson, followed by Mr. Rodney Cook.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Some of you guys know me, some of you don't. I'm a parent, an alum, and I'm also a LSTMC member for the School for Creative and Performing Arts. I'm speaking as Kenneth Gibson, parent. I'm coming to talk about the audition process for K through 3 and the fourth graders. This is something that has been going on since the start of the school. Most of us know that. And I have opposed it, and a lot of you guys know that I have opposed it for previous years. The reason I opposed it was, one, I had a fear that what was going to happen was it was going to bring in a high number, past administration was going to bring in a high number of out-of-district students. Secondly, they were going to not mirror the students they were removing with the students that they were bringing in on a race level. And the other part was you have parents who have the financial means. It appeared that they were going to be put into the school also. And what that was doing, it was cutting out Cincinnati Public School students. So I opposed it. The new administration, from what I understand from the numbers that they have given us, they are mirroring the students that they're removing from the fourth grade with the students that they're bringing in. So I know some of you saying, is it a race issue? Is it this? As far as the numbers, no. The numbers are pretty much balanced if you go and look at these numbers. The other problem is what you're doing is you're saying that these kids will have to stay there from K through 7. And you're also saying you want artistic excellence. So you're saying that every child is talented or has a talent. That would be like me saying that I was good at baseball. I wasn't. I quit because I couldn't ground the ball and got hit in the face. So every child does not have the artistic talent. And then what you're doing on top of that is for the kids in the 4th through 7th grade who's in Cincinnati Public School District, who should be there, like at Rockdale, like at John P. Parker, Rothenberg, Taft STEM, they cannot get into the school. You blocked them out. And then on top of that, I don't know if a lot of you understand, the training in the arts starts around the 8th, around 8 years old. A lot of kids start training. You go to CCM Prep, you go to Cincinnati Children's Theater, and you see these kids training hard at that time. These are parents with means. So what happens is you're setting them up again because the kids who are not artistically talented are going to be removed by these kids who are coming in. Also, the problem with, how can I say it, the kids who do not have a major. During the meeting, I requested to know how were they going to relay this information to the parents. I wanted to make sure that the parents were going to get the information. They called them, they emailed them, they even they made personal calls, emailed, and sent home packets. Only 30 kids showed up out of the 60. And now we're saying we have to pass these kids on. Well, are you really doing these kids a service if they do not have what it takes to make it artistically?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night. Our next speaker is Mr. Rodney Cook, followed by Cameron Laguna.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm also a SCPA parent. Have 2 children, one that has graduated and one that is currently a 10th grader at the school. Both of my kids began in the old Sycamore building. My youngest kid, he was the last 4th grade class to start in that school. He attended Shield before he went to SCPA. I bring that up to say my kids went through the audition process. My kid that was at Shield we understood as parents that when he wanted to go to SCPA, that he would need to audition and that he would need to show that he had the talent to attend that school. This current process that is being proposed to keep students there through the 6th grade, SCPA is an immersion school. By the time you get to the 7th grade, the expectation is that you are contributing to the artistic value of the school, not that you're beginning to learn where you fit in. A few things is unfair to. First of all, it's unfair to the students. It's unfair to my son that is at that school, because when you have talent, if there's no iron to sharpen that iron, then that iron becomes dull. And when you don't surround talent with talent, then we are doing them a disservice. It's also a disservice to the teachers and those students, because students that need things such as music theory classes and things such as that, the teachers that have the certification to teach those classes aren't there to teach. We need those classes 5, 6, 7 bells a day, not one bell that is a lunch bell that students must opt out of lunch to take, because it's not offered, because those teachers are left to teach music exposure to students who don't really care to be exposed to it. I grew up playing baseball. My oldest son, he's a musician, but when he was a kid, I bought him a baseball glove, I bought him a ball, I bought him a bat, and I took him outside. Okay? He had all the tools, but because my son did not practice, he did not become proficient at the game of baseball. The same thing here. I can give a kid a trumpet, I can give them a violin, whatever instrument I wish, starting at the 4th grade. But if that kid does not have the aptitude or the desire to become proficient at that, it will not happen. I've sat here tonight and watched and heard many of you say, and also saw the video, the pursuit of excellence is what has seemed to be the theme tonight. SCPA wants to pursue excellence, and we need your help to ensure that that continues. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cameron Laguna, followed by Keith DeGreen.
Hello, my name is Cameron Laguna. Hello, my name is Cameron. I am 9 years old, and I am a 4th grader at SCPA. I started kindergarten at SCPA 2 days before my 5th birthday. Me and my mom knew from the beginning that for me to stay at SCPA, I would have to work very hard, especially since I have ADHD. Having the opportunity and responsibility to declare a major when I was only 8 years old made me work my absolute hardest. I am very proud of all the hard work and obstacles that I've had to overcome in order to become a double music major. Knowing that I have to keep my spot in the music department makes me even prouder. That makes me want to work even harder to be my best. SCPA is not the right school for everyone, and that's okay. There are many schools in Cincinnati for students to pick from. SCPA is a school for kids who are artistically talented. Please don't change our school. Me and my friends worked too hard to get where we are. I believe that our school is better because of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laguna. Our next speaker is Mr. Keith DeGreen, followed by Ms. Linda Truex.
How do you follow that?
It's tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
Wow. My name is Keith DeGreen. My wife Kylie and I have 3 kids at SCPA. It's an amazing school. I'm also on the board of We Are SCPA, the school PTSO. I also attended SCPA. I'm here as a parent and individual. I'd also like to voice opposition to the idea of possibly changing the grade at which an artistic major is required. SCPA is supposed to be a school that is filled with students that have shown a passion and talent for the arts. What we have now is largely that, but we also have a disruptive percentage of students that have shown no artistic talent, no desire to engage in artistic endeavors, and in some instances, outright express desires not to attend the school. Only half the kids with no majors bothered to show up at the last required auditions. 13 of them ended up in the office for disciplinary reasons during the day. My wife was there and heard one of them say, "This school's stupid. I don't even want to go here, but my parents make me." I presume that would mean make them because of convenience. That's not fair to them. It's also not fair to the kids that are there that want to be there, or the kids that want to be there that have successfully auditioned only to be told that there is no room. On a side note, someone in the Student Achievement Committee meeting last Friday morning said of these kids with no majors, "Well, someone has to build the sets." That's insulting. No. Technical theater is not a dumping ground. It's a place where students who excel at the art of design, scenery, sound, and lights get the chance to exhibit their own brand of creative and artistic excellence. It's also one of the most viable career paths in the arts. Forcing a square peg into a round hole is doing damage to both the hole and the peg. I urge you to have the resolve to make the tough decisions to ensure that the artistic and academic tradition of excellence is continued at SCPA. If a kid is not an artist, they need to be guided elsewhere sooner rather than later. They don't need to be at an art school, and not having a place to put them should be a CPS problem, not an SCPA problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. DeGreen. Our next speaker is Ms. Linda Truax, followed by Ms. Julie Sellers.
Hello. And thank you for listening to me. I'm not as eloquent as a speaker as Cameron and some of the others, but I'll do my best. My name is Linda Truax. I'm a parent at SCPA. I'm also an LSDMC parent rep. There's a theme going on here with what we're discussing, and I think we feel that CPS is really looking at numbers instead of the individual child. And I want to share a personal story with you. 4 years ago, my husband and my son and I were living in California, and our son attended a school district that was, in my opinion, extremely athletic oriented. The district schools were praised for consistent division and state athletic awards. Therefore, the children that were good athletes were highly praised. We encouraged or pushed our son to try everything: baseball, basketball, football, soccer, karate. I wouldn't say he failed. He just did not excel. He was mediocre. He didn't fit in. And with each year that he would be in these sports and be the last one picked, his self-esteem definitely decreased. Around 5th grade, he was introduced to band and found his passion in music. And he found also that he was good and was praised for his talent. But he was in a community environment that praised the athletes, not the musicians. By the end of his 7th grade year, my son was not fitting in. He began, he began to show signs of depression. By 8th grade, it was so serious. He was suicidal and was seeing a psychiatrist and was put on antidepressant meds. At the same time, my husband was being transferred to the Midwest, and he was able to choose a city that he was going to work in. Immediately, we started researching performing arts schools because we found this was my son's passion. We found SCPA was highly rated, and plus my husband had a coworker that had 2 children that are alumni of SCPA, and he highly recommended SCPA. My son auditioned and he was accepted. Within a few months, he was taken off his meds. He fit into SCPA. He found a place and educators like Mr. Irwin Stuckey that fed his passion, that found his talent and his love, and he grew, and SCPA saved my son's life. Let me say that again. SCPA saved my son's life. He now has a strong self-esteem, and you can just wait one moment here. I'm not sharing this for you to pity my son or me. I want you to think about those children that have not found their interest or their talent in any of the art majors. How do you think these children are feeling now? Walking these hallways with a child dancing on their way to class or another one singing a tune, and they have no talent to offer.
Thank you, Ms. Truax.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Julie Sellers.
Good evening, members of the board. I would just like to, this evening, I would like to report of the success of the walk-in with CPS last week. There were over 50 schools who fully participated. It was very successful. We had many people calling our office saying that it was such a great day. The students were so excited, and if we could please have events like that on more often within CPS. I think that it was something that was very beneficial for the community, and I only heard positives from the day. CEJC will be providing a full report, but I do think that we had the highest percentage of school participation in all 30 districts across the country. CPS had positive coverage of the day by radio, TV, newspaper, as well as national social media, picking up our schools and reposting about many of the things that are going on in Cincinnati. A few of the national shares were for Sands Montessori, the first public Montessori school in America, and Evanston Academy, the longest operating community learning center in CPS. And as the schools were highlighting each school individually, those schools were being recognized nationally through a national hashtag. CPS is a national example of supporting public education, and the privatization has not worked in Cincinnati as it is trying to take over many other districts. In Cincinnati, we have proven strategies to help overcome many of the impediments of learning for children in poverty. And there was another report that was just released last week, and I hope that all of you were also able to, I hope I sent it to everyone. It is for the upcoming, it was probably released with the upcoming National Community School Conference that is going to be held this year in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This report released highlights of the successes within community learning centers in Cincinnati. And again, Cincinnati is being nationally recognized and should be proud of the efforts in CPS. Just as we talk about excellence in so many of the efforts that CPS does, I would also like to talk about the 40 years of excellence and tradition of SCPA. CFT is really disappointed to hear that yet again, CPS or SCPA students who have not passed their auditions and subsequently do not have majors are being allowed to move to the next grade level. As an elementary teacher in a neighborhood school, I would see third grade students working so hard to prepare for their audition to try out for SCPA. And I would also see the next year fourth graders who returned to their neighborhood schools when they did not pass the third grade audition to go to SCPA in the fourth grade. This did not have a negative effect on the students, and most of the time these students were very happy to be attending schools with their friends and neighbors. I would also like to talk about my own experience with my daughter. She passed the SCPA audition to get in when she was in the 7th or 8th grade. And every year she re-auditioned and she would wait to see if there was going to be an opening for her. She finally got to transfer to SCPA her senior year, which she would have been so much happier if it could have been at an earlier time. If there would have been students in that school without majors taking up a seat for all of those years, I, as a parent, would have been very upset. Currently, there are students who are taking up seats of students who have passed the audition, and this is just not right. I was in a meeting when SCPA was told by the district that enrolled kindergartners would be able to audition in the 4th grade now, and now they want to change that, and this is totally unfair. All students from K to 3 always knew that they had to pass the audition. This is not something new. But by having the auditions wait until they are entering the 7th grade, you will be creating a greater inequities for many of our students whose families cannot afford private lessons throughout their intermediate years. Those years are important. All that I can say is that the district must be very careful of unintended consequences of allowing non-majors stay until the 7th grade. Please make a decision very soon so that families can prepare for their futures. There are still students who don't know if they're in or not, and they have passed the audition. So I think that it's really important that this is not something that drags on and on until it's too late for a timely fashion for students and families to make decisions. And lastly, I would like to say that over the weekend, one of my friends who lives in Dallas, Texas, sent me a report, and it was the venture fund of the Preschool Promise. And it was presented by the Cincinnati Strive Partnership about the Cincinnati Preschool Promise. And the stuff that I read in this report, in this this presentation, was a little bit disturbing to me. That it will be, the Preschool Promise would be better because it's for children to go to private facilities would be 1/5 of the cost of what it would cost for CPS to educate children in preschool. And also, so this is for a cost-saving measure, which is not what quality is all about. But it also, for the last 2 years, we did not know what the governance structure was going to be. And in here, 2 or 3 years ago, they had the accountability and oversight with the governance structure. And I feel like as long as I have been involved with the Preschool Promise, I felt like I wasn't given all the facts. And this is disturbing to me. And there is 11 panel representatives, and CPS will only have 1 seat identified on that panel. I don't know if everyone knows that there is ballot initiative language written that has not been shared, but I have heard that this governance structure is what they have in the ballot language. So this week when you have the meeting, please continue to ask questions so that the children of Cincinnati continue to have excellence and not just something that is cheaper.
Thank you, Ms. Sellers.
Thank you.
Superintendent Ronan, do you have a report?
Actually, it's just a reminder, as you did earlier, that tomorrow there is a town hall meeting at the Community Action Agency on Langdon Farm Road at 6 o'clock, and then there's one at the Price Hill Rec Center on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So thank you. We're hoping lots of families come out.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the revised recommendations of the superintendent?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions about the superintendent's revised report? No? All right. Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Manera?
Aye.
Mr. Nelms?
Aye.
President Copeland Dansby?
Aye. Do I have a motion to approve the revised recommendations, to approve the report of the treasurer?
So moved.
It is not revised, it's just a regular report of the treasurer. Thank you. So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion related to the report of the treasurer?
Yeah, Madam
Mr.
President,
Nance.
I do have a question on page 3, item 17. Under the student managed account, Jen, if you could find out, I'd like to know the date and the length of that trip, and the grade, and possibly the demographics as relates to the visit by Clark Montessori. Now, I would like to know, is that their own student managed account from the school directly?
That,
Okay.
Any other questions related to the treasurer's report? Ms. Bolton?
Yes, thank you. I have one. On page 3, I think, yes, 16, item 16, first student, confirmed amount, $258,000. The general fund, transportation, that is that the cost of providing bus monitors? Is that salary, pay, wages?
Yes, that's the cost of providing monitors.
How many?
Would you like to come down to the podium,
Yeah,
please?
thank you.
As I said before, that's the cost of providing the monitors. What we have is that's a monthly billing for providing monitors for the particularly the special needs students. Any bus that has special needs students on it, which are designated special needs students, have to have a monitor on there. Their current rate is $19.48 per hour while on those buses, and an average trip is about 5 hours. That's 2 routes. So that's how it's broken down, and that's just a monthly billing for those monitors.
So the $258,000 thereabouts is a monthly?
Right. We spend about $2.5 million on monitors for the special needs kids.
And if I could, so this is only about special needs children. I know there's some talk or have been talk about monitors on some routes that might need them. Is that money is that also in here, or?
There would probably be a small fraction of that cost would be some of the routes that have been designated as needing monitors to maintain control while operating the vehicles. In our current RFP that is out on the street, which actually came in this week, we do have monitors also in there too.
Okay. So this cost would be mostly about special services issues, and then some of it would be the monitors that we've decided to put on routes that perhaps need them regarding behavior or
for behavior issues.
whatever.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions related to the report of the treasurer? Do I have a motion to approve the report of the treasurer? Oh, we did that. Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
I recuse my vote from item number 16, please.
Aye on the rest?
I'm sorry,
Is that aye on the rest?
I didn't hear you.
Aye on the rest.
Yes,
Everything
aye on the
but
rest, sorry.
16.
Part of hearing, sorry.
All right. Mr. Manera?
Aye.
Mr. Nelms?
Aye.
President Copeland Dansby?
Aye. All right, well, now we are at the topic of updates and inquiries, and it looks like Mrs. Bates has a topic related to board docs.
Yes, we had decided some years ago that we would proceed with board docs so that we didn't have to have piles of paper like this at our board meetings and binders and everything else. And I believe we're all equipped with laptops. So I wanted to urge the board today to resume that endeavor and schedule some training so we can move along and get with the age of technology.
Well, that sounds great. I know at one point we all came to this very table 2 years ago and had a training on board docs, and I've always been for it, though I will continue to carry my binder.
And what do you do with the paper afterwards?
I use it as scrap paper or shred it. So if that's something we can do as an assignment to sort of resume that. Mr. Nels?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the training myself. So
Okay.
I can come into the technology age.
Okay.
But my wife always says I have to touch paper 5 times before I touch her. And so I still have to continue
I think
to
that
have
is
my paper.
TMI.
Really don't want to know.
It's a side joke, but it's real.
All right.
But
Starting to lose. Okay, so we'll get to that when we do
that's it.
assignments.
Just let me know about the training days.
Sure. Let's see if there are any other inquiries or updates.
I do.
I have two, I think, quick ones. One around, we still need to have a conversation around our board meetings and the stipends and what we're going to do about that. I think there are ways we can make ourselves more efficient, right? So, but we need some time to talk about this, about how we might be able to consolidate some of our meetings to be more efficient. So I don't know if that's an assignment or an inquiry or what, but we do need to find some time for that.
I'm really glad you brought that up. The last time I brought it up, for whatever reason, we did not have the conversation. It was kind of like, let's all just continue to do our jobs.
Right.
But there has been some background work related to the number of meetings divided by the total and what exactly that would look like.
Well, I think if we can all come to a conversation with ideas of how we could be more efficient, what meetings we do feel like are very fruitful and which ones potentially are not, then maybe we can have that conversation.
I completely agree. And then, putting time limits on particular portions of the agendas when we meet too. So we'll put that on as an assignment. But thank you for bringing that up.
One other one I wanted to bring up with the board is, we have 2 policy fellows working with us, one of whom has been helping out Pat's team, and we know that work is somewhat wrapping up. Her work is never wrapped up, but the work that she's been working on with the fellow is somewhat wrapping up, and we still have a fellow for a few more months. And so we're starting to pick the brain of other board members of how we might want to utilize her time, and wanted to talk to the board about one idea of we've been talking a lot about disproportionality and discipline being something this board is concerned about and interested in, and maybe trying to see what is our current discipline policy. Since it's a policy fellow, so we want to looking at policy. So what's our current discipline policy? Mr. Manera had the great idea too of saying, well, we're doing a lot of great stuff around discipline, whether it's social emotional learning or our different work that we're doing, and trying to have her kind of come up with what's our current policy, what are we currently doing, and then what are other districts doing? There's a lot of new policy from districts that are working on this same problem, and having her kind of put together a brief for us on that as kind of a starting point for us as we consider this work. But I wanted to make sure the full board that that was an appropriate use or a good use of her time. We don't have to decide in this moment, but if you have other ideas, potentially we can continue this conversation so we can get her working on something fast, since we only have her a few more months.
Yeah, so do you guys have any suggestions related to the fellow and what they should be working on, or if you support that? Or
If we come up with any delayed ideas, can we just refer them to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I might also suggest that we point that fellow in the direction of our strategic goal related to the expansion plan and the work we heard from the administration last week or 2 weeks ago, so that we're not sporadically working on this, that, and the other, and but anything that I'll make it an assignment here shortly, but anything that the administration can tell us might be imminent for moving forward with expansion.
So maybe Superintendent Ronan and I can connect as well. Does that work?
So
okay,
yeah,
great.
It's still in the inquiry part of the agenda. So then when we get to assignments, you kind of think about that. And the only reason I'm saying that is we're kind of exploring the topic is so that we remain strategically moving forward. Like, there are always issues, and we will conquer them all. However, I think we need to do them in some sort of order and fashion that keeps us moving forward. Are there any other inquiries and or updates, Ms.
I
Bolton?
have an inquiry, and it might end up being an administration assignment, just inquiring about the fact that we have really no longer the services of a particular lobbyist in Columbus and wanted to know if there's an update regarding our efforts to, or that we're changing lobbyists, maybe that's a better way, how we're pursuing getting a voice in Columbus.
Yes, we are pursuing several ideas, but I'd prefer not to mention the name of that individual.
Absolutely.
Since it's a personnel issue. We need to talk about it in executive session.
That'd be great, but it is happening.
Yes.
And then also inquiring of the chair as to when the board will have an opportunity to discuss the, hopefully next to last or close to last, equity policy draft as a whole board, because I know the chair of policy wants it to come back to policy after that discussion.
Yeah, it looks like on next week, March the 2nd, we'll be discussing the equity policy in our PPE meeting.
Okay. And then is that the same date that we'll, I think Superintendent mentioned it in student achievement, is that the same CAL that the board will have an opportunity to hear from the SCPA leadership?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Both of those two things are the agenda items.
Love it.
On Wednesday.
Sure, we have the latest version of the equity policy in everyone's board packets on Friday.
Why don't we put it on Google Docs? Can we do both?
Are there any other?
You do Google Docs, don't you?
Are there any other updates and inquiries?
I do have an update, and I think I just want to refer everybody to the Urban Educator. And there's an article that the Council for Great City School has launched a new website to help urban school districts across the nation to improve academic outcomes of black males, and it's malesofcolor.org. And I think it goes a long way with having the MORE program, Dr. Lofton, to, number one, be aware of the system or the information that it's going to provide in terms of resources, data, and what other school districts are doing. So it's just an update.
Are there any other updates or inquiries? Moving on to assignments, I'm going to list the ones that I heard, and then if there are any others that folks need to make, we can do that at this time. But it looks like we want our administrative support team to help us figure out a date to relaunch a training, I guess, with board docs, and then to really be aggressive about a go-live date related to board docs. And let's make sure we include the buzzer that goes on the screen, the timer. That was a cool function, so that people who are, when the public is addressing us, they don't have to feel so rushed. They can see the timer in front of them. And because I think when that buzzer goes off, if it were me speaking, I'd just kind of be frantic. But if we use the timer, folks can know how much time they have left. We also, I'm asking our administrative team to resend an email that we had related to the stipends. And that's particular to Ms. Davis. She had done some math for us. If we can send it out to all of the board members, and also maybe kind of shoot your ideas. Ms. Hoffman mentioned she had a couple ideas about being more efficient. I have a few, so if you want those ideas from Ms. Hoffman and I, we're happy to give them as usual.
Just question, who should we send the suggestions to?
Ms. Davis, I'm asking her to send an email to all board members and just reply all, so that we all are figuring that out together. And then also, if you have suggestions related to the work that the policy fellows, one fellow, she's got 2 more months, the work that the policy one fellow, because there are 2, but just this one, right, okay. If you have any assignments related to, if you have any suggestions related to some assignments for them, please send them to Ms. Davis. And Elisa will have a conversation with Superintendent Ronan, and I'm asking the administration to please be creative as you can about some assignments for this fellow. So while we have the opportunity for some help and assistance, that would be great to give them an assignment. Also, Ms. Davis, if you could make sure that we have the most updated equity policy draft in our Friday packet. And how about even emailing it to us tomorrow so that folks can work on it at their not at their leisure, but as they have time. I'm going to ask for maybe in our Friday packet an update related to the hiring fair. How many folks were there? It was a great, awesome event, and I want to publicly thank Mr. Paul McDowell and the whole team for pulling that off and putting that together. And you could maybe just send us a quick memo on Friday to tell us the numbers of people and maybe the number of interviews and that, but I'll publicly say I saw live interviews per each school, and the schools really turned out and had excellent displays. If there's a representative here from Schroeder, they had this backdrop at their table that was just dynamic. And so a whole step above, I think, what we've seen in the past couple years as we're recruiting new employees. You guys would have been really proud to see that. Are there any other assignments? Having no other business coming before the board, we are adjourned.
Good night. But like this, I have a bump back there and it's bothering me.
You know, it's funny when we have something like that, how we just keep our hand on it.